Man is back.
Oh, okay, Jay, boys, done it again. Oh my gosh, the man got messed up. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have delivered. Something is true, something but oh, look at that, my God.
This is your boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy Dash the True Inferno. Man, does it feel good to go through all that. And your boy is back. Yes, I am back. The channel is back. So yes, do not adjust your sets. Yes, I am back with some more videos for the True Inferno channel. Now, at this point in time, I am only doing videos on Wednesdays. Throwback Tunes will be back in 2019, like in either the middle of January or late January of 2019. But Throwback Tunes will be back. I got 2 albums in the decks in terms of what I'll review based on suggestions that I received a few months back. But Throwback Tunes will be coming back. But I am back here with some Spider-Man gameplay. So doing something different this time around. But yeah, we will eventually get into some Call of Duty gameplay in the future. But we got some business to take care of before 2018 comes to a close. And we're going to look at the best movies, or what I think are the best movies of 2018. So remember, at the start of this year, I gave you guys my top 10 anticipated movies of the year. So I'm about to go through those real quick. I said number 10 was Tomb Raider. Number 9 was Black Panther. Number 8 was Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 7 was Solo, a Star Wars movie. Number 6 was Deadpool II. Number 5 was The New Mutants, which we learned was pushed back to next year. Number 4 was X-Men Dark Phoenix, which was also pushed back to next year. Number 3 was Venom. Number 2 was Avengers Infinity War. And number 1 was Incredibles 2. And now that I've seen some of these movies, and even some that I named honorable mention in terms of the anticipated movies of this year, I can now give you my top 10 movies of the year. So let's start off with number 10, Venom. Venom comes in, and I was very skeptical about this movie because of the fact that there was no mention of Spider-Man. Because if you remember, if you're going back to Spider-Man, the animated series, maybe even the comics and some of the older video games, whatever, Spider-Man made contact with the symbiote first. And then it went from Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, to Eddie Brock, who became Venom. And because of that, he got Spider-Man powers, like he can climb up on walls. He has his own form of Redman. He has his own form of the Spider Sense. And he can cancel out Spider-Man Spider Sense. Well, I saw this movie. This joint came out October 5th of this year. And again, I was a little bit down about it because, again, there was no mention of Spider-Man. So I was like, how is Eddie Brock going to get all these powers? But to some degree, they made it work. So basically, a corporation found the symbiote life forms. And there was more than one, and they tried to do experiments with them. And one escaped as Eddie Brock snuck into this organization, trying to get some dirt on him, and it bonded with him. So yes, he's still able to climb up through walls, although it's not like in Spider-Man format. He's able to just swing around, although it's more symbiote webbing. It's not even webbing at all. It's like symbiote itself swinging it, around and things of that nature. And there's no spider sense. Like, there's no spider sense, obviously, with this one. So, there you go with that. Now, the main villain is the CEO of this company, which is the Life Foundation, known as Carlton Drake. And basically, like I said, he's the one who was trying to get some experiments done on these symbiotes, trying to fuse it with people because he believed that it would be the future of mankind, things of that nature. And he was responsible for Eddie Brock and his fiance at the time losing their jobs. So, because of that, she broke up with Eddie Brock, and he was basically struggling to make ends meet. But he decided to break into the Life Foundation, and one of the symbiotes fused with them, and the two of them like slowly bonded together. Like, even the symbiote was like talking in his head, things of that nature. And what happened was Carlton Drake bonded with the symbiote at home, and basically at the end, Eddie Brock and Carlton Drake battle each other, as whether they was in the symbiote form or not. And at the end, obviously, Eddie Brock won and things of that nature, and the two ended up being together. So, this movie, while it was funny, and it was pretty cool, but, I felt like there was other movies that was better. And even though some of those movies had more flaws than this one, it was still, like, the good outweighs the bad in this case. And Venom, to me, was a good movie. If you haven't seen it, I would more than likely recommend you go watch it. And yeah, that's it. So that's it for Venom. Now let's move on to number 9, Ant-Man and the Wasp. This one was another funny movie, and this one was really interesting in terms of the storyline. So check this out. We basically have like a fatal four-way going on here, but all of them are not battling each other over the same thing. So basically, you have Ant-Man and the Wasp. So basically, what happened is this: the Wasp and her father actually believed that the Wasp's mother, aka what's her name? His name, Hank Films. I forget. Let's call him Hank. I can't pronounce his last name. Let's call him Hank. Hank, who is the father of the Wasp, and gave Scott Lang the powers to be Ant-Man. So basically, Hank's wife is alive, but she is stuck in the quantum realm. So the three of them try to get there to get her out. Meanwhile, you got this one chick who like kind of gave herself the ability to go ghost. It's more of a curse than a gift. And basically, the belief is that if this ghost chick can kill Hank's wife, she would be free of the curse and would be able to live on. So that's right. They need the necessary tools to get to the quantum realm first. Not to get to the quantum realm, but to free her. So basically, here's what's going on. Let me explain this again. Hank invented a device that would let him go to the quantum realm. However, the ghost chick needs that device to heal her, in what she believed that could heal her. And then you got this black market dealer who had the one item needed for this device to work. But he believed that if he had this device and the entire lab, because the lab can be shrunken down into a briefcase size, so they were fighting over that. But the black market dealer believed if he had that, then he could sell it for a crap ton of money. And then you got who is this? The FBI? Yeah, the FBI, who have beef with Scott Lang, because remember, this movie takes place 2 years after the what is it? The Civil War movie, the Captain America movie. And if you recall in that movie, Ant-Man sided with Captain America. And everybody who was sided with Captain America, with the exception of Captain America himself and Winter Soldier, were all captured. And including Ant-Man. So now he went from being captured and locked up in heavy lockdown to being in house arrest, where he could not have any contact with Hank, because the FBI was still trying to find Hank and his daughter, aka the Wasp, and try to arrest them as well. So Hank could not have any contact with them. If he did, then he would be arrested again and things of that nature, blah, blah, blah. So Hank had to fool the government, get on the good side of Scott had to fool the government, Scott, aka Ant-Man, get on the good side of Hank and the Wasp, because remember, he just went off and sided with Captain America on his own, didn't tell them, and because of that, they got in trouble because of his actions. So of course, the two of them are kind of pissed off at him. But they need him to save Hank's wife, aka Janet. There we go. And they got to deal with this ghost chick. So it's like a lot going on here. But it still was a pretty good movie. It was still funny. But it's number 9. It's better than Venom, in my opinion. But it's number 9 because, again, I felt like the other movies were better. And I can't think of anything that this movie did wrong here. But I'm going to say there's too much going on, because it's easy to get, but it's hard to explain. But it's easy to understand. It's easy to digress and things of that nature. And this movie came out July 6th of this year, by the way. I forgot to mention that. But it is a great movie nevertheless. Now let's move on to number 8. Aquaman. Of all the movies on this list, and I'm looking at all the movies that was on this list, Aquaman is more than likely the most gorgeous movie on this list, and more than likely the most gorgeous movie of 2018. The graphics and the surroundings that they use are amazing, just flat out amazing. This movie came out December 21st, and this was actually the last movie that I'm going to see this year. I'm not going to watch any other movie that came out this year that I haven't seen yet already. But this movie was dope. So basically, hit the scenario. So obviously, Aquaman is the son of basically, I'm about to say this name wrong. The queen of Atlantis and a regular lighthouse keeper. So basically, he's a half-breed. And what happened was, the Atlantic, I guess, Royal Knights showed up and tried to kidnap his mom, but she fended them off, and she came to the conclusion that, they're going to come back, and they could possibly kill her husband and their son. So she kind of turned herself in, and it was believed that they executed her by sending her to some parts unknown under the sea with a bunch of a crap ton of these savages would like devour her, whatever. So obviously Aquaman grew up, and basically he had a half brother who was king of Atlantis because their father died, obviously. And basically his half brother tried to unite all the kingdoms within the seven seas to declare war on the what they call them? What they call us? The earth dwellers? Basically the landlubbers or whatever. Basically those who don't live under the sea, basically. We'll go with that. So this and this redhead chick is fine. Like she is really, really fine. But this redhead chick showed up, tried to help him out, and basically they go all over the world to try to find the trident, like the #1 trident on Earth. Because if he had that, then obviously he could command all the seven seas, and he'll be the true king and things of that nature. Because if you have that, like, first of all, it's hard to get that trident. Like, some people thought it's a myth, but if you get that trident, then obviously you are worthy of being king. Meanwhile, prior to all of this, though, Aquaman ran into this black dude who was a pirate, and in the process of running into the black dude inside of a submarine and his crew, he accidentally killed this dude's father. So the black dude wanted revenge against Aquaman, and because of Aquaman's half brother, he was given Atlantean armor, and he became what that dude name? Oh man, what is that dude's name? I forgot his name that quickly. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Aquaman's #1 main villain. I forgot his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. And that is going to bother the crap out of me. But anywho, let's move on. So basically he had to deal with him. He had to deal with the soldiers from Atlanta coming after him. Atlantis, rather. And then he had to find this trident. In the process of finding the trident, he found his mom. His mom was alive. And he took on this gigantic serpent creature and convinced him or it that, hey, I can talk to animals, which is rare. And he got the trident, and he defeated his half brother. He didn't kill him, and he became king. And basically, the war was over because there was a war within the sea over control of all of Atlantis. But then Aquaman showed up and just put an end to that, and obviously prevented a war between, you know, the land and the seas and things of that nature. And the reason why, like, there's two flaws here. One of them I'm nitpicking. The other one is kind of a big deal, though. The one I'm nitpicking about is this. Nobody dies. I was thinking the father was going to die because there was a scenario where the father could have died. Nope, he lived. And obviously, the mother could have died. Nope, she lived. She was alive the whole time, and she lived for it all. And even like his advisor, who was working undercover, and he was found by the stepbrother that, hey, you've been working undercover. You've been teaching my other brother all these moves. Now I'm gonna have you arrested. He could have been killed. Nope, that didn't happen. And the redhead's father, who was a king himself, he could have been killed. Nope, didn't happen. Nobody was killed in this movie. Nobody like with a major role or close to a major role was killed in this movie. I was expecting somebody to die in this movie, and nobody died. So that was, I will admit, that was shocking as heck to see that nobody died in this movie. I was kind of crazy. And the second thing that bothered me was this. Again, I cannot remember this dude's name to save my life, but this is Aquaman's main villain. And he was treated as a side villain. Yeah, Black Manta. That's his name, Black Manta. This dude was treated as a side villain. And I'm like, you cannot treat Aquaman's main villain as a side villain. Like, you can't do that. They could have picked somebody else, or they could have set it up where, like, he had an older brother who was Black Manta, and he died because of Aquaman, something like that. So he passed the torch to his younger brother, who would become the true Black Manta, like the actual Black Manta. You know, something like that. Change that storyline up a little bit, whatever the case may be. But to treat Black Manta as a side villain, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. But the reason why it was over Aquaman and Venom because of the graphics, the scenery, the surroundings, they were all beautiful, like flat out beautiful, man, just gorgeous, just flat out gorgeous. And I think I mentioned this. This joint came out December 21st of this year. All right, let's move on to number 7. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, this joint came out December 14th of this year. And is a really good movie. This is an animated movie, but the animation style was pretty dope. It was really dope. And I really liked it. So, here's the deal with this one. Basically, Miles Morales saw Peter Parker die at the hands of the Kingpin. Because here's what happened. The Kingpin tried to use a dimensional portal to try to bring back his wife and son, I guess, from another dimension. Because what happened is, in this dimension, his wife and son found out, hey, Wilson Fisk is actually the Kingpin. He was battling Spider-Man to the point where he almost beat him to death, and they ran from him. And when he tried to chase them, they got in a car and drove off really fast, and they ended up in a car accident, and both of them died. So he tried to get an alternate version of his wife and son so he could try to be a family with them, or whatever the case may be. But in the process of doing it the first time, because there was a battle between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, I believe the Prowler, the Prowler, Spider-Man was placed in the range of the portal. So just about every other Spider person, I can't say Spider-Man because like two of them were females and one of them was a pig, but they were all transported from their own dimension to this one. So basically, we talking about Peter Parker, who was washed up. He had a gut. He was older. He didn't have blonde hair, and he was basically just selling himself. We talking Gwen Stacy. We talking, like I said, Spider Pig. I'm not sure if this is the one from The Simpsons. And we talking some animated Japanese chick with a robot. I guess you could say it was a spider robot and Spider Noir. They were all brought into this dimension. So again, the Peter Parker / Spider-Man in this dimension died, and the world knew, hey, Spider-Man was Peter Parker because he was unmasked by the Kingpin before he was beaten to death. And Miles Morales, who was bitten by a spider prior to that, had to get used to being Spider-Man, so he wasn't 100% used to being Spider-Man yet, or used to having these powers. So they all had to come up with a plan to get everybody back home and then destroy the dimensional portal device thingy. And it was, so basically all the spider individuals was like, hey, the Peter Parker who is washed up is going to sacrifice himself, because they couldn't stay in there because they were all hurting because they was not in their own respective universes and things of that nature. So with this obviously Miles Morales, since who was from that dimension. Not to mention Miles was having issues with his father because he was being hard on him, and he looked up to his uncle, who he didn't know until later that his uncle was the Prowler. And then when they both unmasked each other, the Kingpin shot the Prowler and killed him, basically. But what ended up happening was Miles Morales obviously gotten used to his powers as Spider-Man, sent everybody home to their actual universes. He battled Kingpin one-on-one, won the battle, and destroyed the dimensional portal. And there was a female who was actually Doc Ock. So that was pretty cool as well. Oh, in case you're wondering, I'm assuming the Green Goblin died as well, earlier in this movie and things of that nature. And also other characters was involved, like the Scorpion and Tombstone. I believe both of those individuals were arrested, as was the Kingpin. But yeah, very good movie. I like the animation style. The story was pretty good for the most part. There's two things I have issues with when it comes to this movie. The first issue was this. It was so blatantly obvious that Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy had a thing for each other. So for them to be just friends was utterly ridiculous. Like there was a scene where they were saying goodbye to each other because, again, Gwen had to go back to her own universe. They could have kissed right there. Nope, it didn't happen. So I'm like, really? They should have hooked up, and they didn't hook up. And then the second thing was, when all the spider individuals were brought to this one dimension, it all should have happened at the same time. But in Gwen's case, she was brought to that dimension 10 days prior, because before Miles was bitten by the spider, things of that nature, they were both attending the same school. So I was like, how was that even possible? Like, I was watching the movie, I didn't leave anything, but I'm like, how did Gwen show up to that dimension 10 days or however number of days prior before everybody else, before the dimensional portal was active? Like, how did that happen? So that's another thing I have an issue with. But again, the story was good, really like it, and I felt like it was 7 best movie of the year. Now, let's get on with number 6. Creed 2. Creed 2 is a really good movie. This joint came out November 21st of this year. So, and here's the thing, I never seen Rocky 6, aka just Rocky, and I never seen Creed 1, even though I do have it loaded up on my laptop right now, so I can watch it right now, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. I'll probably go do that the day I release this video, which is Wednesday, December the 27th, or 26th rather, my bad. But I felt like you don't have to see Creed 1 to watch Creed 2, but basically here's the deal. So basically, apparently, Creed, Adonis Creed rather, who is the son of Apollo Creed, obviously, he was now the world champ. He quickly became, he quickly into the movie rather, he became world champion. However, Drago had a son, and he challenged Creed to a fight. So if you haven't seen Rocky 3, oh no, not Rocky 3, Rocky 4, it was actually Creed, I mean not Creed, but Drago, the original Drago, who killed Apollo Creed in a boxing match. And then, of course, later on in that movie, Rocky kind of got revenge against him, fought against Drago, and defeated him. Well, and as you know, Rocky was, or is, Creed's trainer. So, obviously, Drago wanted revenge, so his son wanted revenge. So the only way they could do that is by beating Rocky's protege in the form of Creed, Adonis Creed. So, we got the title match. It was, what was his name? I know I said Drago, obviously Drago's son. He challenged Adonis Creed. This dude was big as heck. Oh, yeah, his son name was Victor Drago. The father was Ivan Drago, but Victor. So Victor took on Adonis, and Victor beat the crap out of Adonis. However, he was disqualified because as Adonis was on his knees, and the ref told him, hey, back off. I need to make sure he can still continue to fight. Victor gave him another punch. So the ref disqualified him. So basically, Adonis was still the champ, but he was the champ by disqualification. Otherwise, he would have lost the title. So, and at this point, Adonis was going out with this one chick who was an R&B singer, and they had a baby, and he proposed it to her. So he was going through a lot of stuff. Like, he was trying to get his confidence back. He was trying to find himself, you know, because he was angry with himself, things of that nature. And in that first bout, Rocky was like, yo, don't take that fight. Don't take that fight. You know, what are you fighting for? All that. So there was beef between the two, really. More so, Adonis had beef with him rather than the other way around. But there you go with that. And then once he found himself and got the confidence back, he actually trained. Both Adonis and Victor trained for the rematch, which would take place in Drago's home country, as the first bout took place, I think, in Vegas, but you get the point. And obviously they had a rematch, and it was a close bout. But what happened? Oh, Adonis was winning. Like, he was dominating. Like, obviously it was a close bout early on, but as the round, as the fight continued on, Adonis was dominated. It's got to a point where Victor's own father grew in the towel, because that was the issue. Because when Apollo took on Ivan Drago a few years back, Rocky had the opportunity to throw in the towel and save Apollo, but Apollo was like, no, don't throw in the towel. I can still do this. So Rocky was like, I hate this, but okay, fine. And boom, Apollo died. So in this case, Ivan was afraid that Victor was going to die at the hands of Apollo's son, so Victor threw in the towel. And obviously, Adonis won, and he was still the champ and things of that nature. Now, a side story was that Rocky had not made contact with his son in years, to the point even his son even had a kid. So basically, Rocky was a grandfather. He had not made contact with his son. He had not seen his own grandson yet. But in the movie, he actually came over, and both him and his son, they kind of got acquainted with each other, and he met his grandson. And basically, that's how the movie ended. And Adonis actually have his daughter as well. This was a really great movie, but again, I felt like they could have handled the situation with Rocky and his son better, because I felt like somebody should talk to Rocky about his situation instead of him struggling with it on his own, then be like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. Like, I felt like somebody could have aided him out there. But this was a really great movie. Really, really like it. Really, really powerful to me. Really like this movie. Let's move on. Number 5. Black Panther. This one was tough because this joint came out February 16th of this year. And at the time, I was like, yo, this is the best movie of the year. It was really, really good. The setting was phenomenal. And I really, really liked it. And hey, back-to-back movies that feature Michael B. Jordan, by the way. But yeah, so basically, here's what happened here. So basically, you got Black Panther, who is the king of Wakanda. But he have what is he? Obviously, Michael B. Jordan character, who was his cousin, I think. Because what happened was the original king had two sons. Okay. One of them was Apollo's, not, I think it's Apollo's. One of them was Black Panther's father, and the other one was Black Panther's uncle. And it got to a point where Black Panther's father had no choice but to kill his younger brother because he was doing some illegal stuff behind Wakanda's back and things of that nature. But before that, his brother had a son. And he felt like he should be the rightful king. So after he went through all the training things of that nature, he came back to Wakanda, challenged his, again, I think his cousin, to a match to determine who would be the king of Wakanda. And he actually won. So he won. He became the king of Wakanda. And everybody thought Black Panther died, but he was close to death, but he was revived. And then what happened was, basically, Black Panther's cousin wanted to declare war on the rest of the world because at this point Wakanda was hidden from everybody else, and he was like, "Yo, we shouldn't hide. We got the the greatest technologies. We should rule all the entire world, things of that nature." So he got some of Wakanda on his side, but when Black Panther came back, there was a war within Wakanda, and unfortunately, Black Panther had to kill his cousin, and he became king again. And basically, he was like, you know what? Yeah, we shouldn't hide from the rest of the world. We should share our resources with the rest of the world so the world as a whole can be stronger and can be closer together, things of that nature. So yeah, that's how this movie went. Again, it was a great movie, phenomenal movie. And at the time, I thought it was the best movie of the year. Obviously, more movies came out later on that made me go against that. So there's nothing wrong with this movie, just that the 4 movies I'm about to name were just that better. They were better. So let's talk about those 4 movies. Number 4, Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2 was actually number 3 in my list, but I had to think about it. I moved it back to number 4. And there's one thing I have an issue with, and I kind of nitpicking here a bit. Now, this movie came out May 18th of this year. Very hilarious. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Deadpool 1 was much more graphic and brutal than this one. Like this joint, it was toned down a little bit, but it was still graphic. It was still graphic. I think it was rated PG-13. I don't remember. I remember the first one was rated R, but I want to say this one was rated. Oh wait, no, it was rated R as well. Okay, I thought so. Let me double check. Yeah, it was rated R. Okay, so both movies were rated R. So basically, here's what happened. In the future, because this movie features Cable. So basically, here's what happened. Cable's family died because of a renegade mutant. Renegade mutant showed up, and either he used his fire powers to destroy this apartment or he self-destructed. Either way, he destroyed this apartment. Now, inside this apartment was Cable's wife and daughter. So, Cable went back to time to try and find his renegade mutant, kill the renegade mutant, and if he were to do that, then what happened with his wife and daughter wouldn't have happened. So, but the problem was the renegade mutant was still a little boy who was like having emotional issues because he was angry at times and things of that nature because he was being mistreated by this institute, not the Xavier Institute, obviously. And speaking of it, so obviously Colossus was in this movie, as was that one feet chick. Wait a minute, what's her name? I forgot her name. Oh wait, the Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I think that was her name. So basically, they were in the first movie and they're back in the second movie. And basically, Deadpool tried to teach this kid, hey, you don't have to be angry. Who named himself Fire Fist, by the way? You don't have to be angry. You could be calm and things like that. You don't have to kill people, blah, blah, blah. And also in this movie, Deadpool's girlfriend dies, actually. Because I think some mercenaries or a gang showed up at Deadpool's house, and they did this battle scene or whatever. But she ended up getting shot, and he died, and she died unfortunately. So that was that issue. And Deadpool wanted to die too, but because of his abilities, he can't die. So every time he thought he was dying and was going to be with her, she was like, "Nope, you can't die yet. You gotta go back. You got some stuff to do." And he was like, "What? No, I don't want to go. I want to stay there, be with you." Yeah. So there's that. And what happened was, Cable showed up, tried to kill the kid. Deadpool trying to protect the kid from Cable, so the two would go at it with each other. And what happened was Deadpool tried to form this crew called X-Force. And everybody who is a part of this crew died, with the exception of Domino, who is okay, let me go back a few notches down on my list. I said the redhead from Aquaman was fine. This chick, Domino, was fine as heck. The chick with the afro, the black chick, she was fine as heck in this movie. Oh my gosh. So the deal with her is apparently she can fight real good, but she is extremely lucky. So nothing bad will ever happen to her. So I seen that one scene where she jumped out of the plane and somehow made her way into the running bus and fought off against Cable. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I fell in love. Like, wow, it was crazy. And Firefist felt betrayed by Deadpool. So he hooked up with another mutant who was kept under wraps for a good minute, but it turns out that this other mutant was the Juggernaut. And they both went back to that institution trying to find the guy who messed up Fire Fist so he could kill him. And it was Cable, Deadpool, and Domino, Colossus, and the Niggas on the Teenage Warriors showing up trying to stop all this from happening, which they did. And what ended up happening was Cable had to use the last of his time traveling devices to save Deadpool. Because he lost, because somebody, I forgot what happened. Oh, there was a collar that negated mutant abilities. And remember, he had that cancer. So he took a bullet for somebody. I think he took a bullet for the kid, I believe. And he was actually going to die. But what happened was Cable used that time traveling device to go back like 5 minutes to remove the collar. So right when Deadpool was like, "Yes, I did it, Vanessa, I'm about to be with you," Vanessa was like, actually, no, you have to go back." And he was like, "Wait, what? No, why?" It was fun. I will admit, this whole movie was hilarious. So the one issue I have is this, like, again, the Juggernaut. This is the Juggernaut. I'm not saying he should be like a big time mega villain, but he should not have been kept under wraps like that. Like, he should not have been kept under wraps like that. I feel like he should have got a little bit more exposure than he did. But aside for that, this was a really, really great movie, man. 4th best movie of the year, in my opinion. So, seeing how I said this was number 3, and I moved it back to number 4, what did take its spot? Well, here it is. Number 3. The Avengers Infinity War. So, yeah, I had this at number 4, but I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I had to move this up to number 3. And you probably wondering, this ain't number 1 for you? I'll get to that. I'll get to that in number 2. So this movie came out April 27th of this year. And I'm pretty sure everybody and their mama knows how the Avengers Infinity War movie went. So basically, if you saw the last Thor movie, the last scene of the Thor movie, like the hidden credits, a ship was invading their ship. Turns out that ship belonged to Thanos and his crew. And oh my gosh, we need some clarity on this. We need some clarity in this, because remember, in Thor's ship was Thor, the Incredible Hulk, what's that dude's name? Loki, the one dude who was blind, the black dude was blind, that one chick who Thor met in another planet, and a bunch of other people, like from from his homeworld, because his homeworld got destroyed. Thanos showed up, kills everybody. So I'm like, and even the black dude who was blind, he got killed. He got killed off. So I'm like, what happened to the chick? Cause I didn't see her anywhere. And he overpowers the Hulk to the point where he was sent off the ship, and he kills Loki. And I forgot what happened with Thor. Yeah, Thor survived somehow. I think he was like launched from the ship or whatever. So, and he hooked up with the Guardians of the Galaxies. He ran into them because he was floating off in space forever. Meanwhile, Thanos was collecting obviously the Infinity Stone. So he went to Earth. Him and his lieutenants did. So basically, you got two sides of the Avengers. You have Doctor Strange, who had the Infinity Stone. You have Iron Man. You have Doctor Strange's assistants, and Peter Parker, aka Spiderman. And then on the other side, you have what's his name, Black Panther, and basically his whole country. You also have the Winter Soldier because he was kept up there and healing there, things of the nature. And they hooked up with the likes of Black Widow, Captain America, Vision, who had a Infinity Stone as well, and his girlfriend, who was what's her face? I forgot her name. Ooh, what is her name? I forgot her name that quickly. Rhonda, yeah, Rhonda Maximoff, yeah, her. She had an actual mutant name. I forgot what it is though. I'm gonna say the Scarlet Witch. Yeah, that's it, Scarlet Witch. So basically, there was two groups. No, there was three groups of heroes. So you have the Guardians of the Galaxy with Thor. You have Iron Man's group, and you have Captain America's group, and they were fighting off against Thanos and his lieutenants. So a number of people died in this movie. Like I said, everybody from Thor Homeworld died. I'm not sure about that one chick who he met from the last Thor movie. Loki died. And then what happened was, because remember, one of the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy was Thanos' daughter, adopted daughter. And then he had that robotic daughter as well, who he didn't really care about. But he ended up killing the daughter who he actually cared about to get a Infinity Stone, which was crazy. He grew her off the cliff, basically sacrificed herself to get an Infinity Stone, which was crazy. And then he got the Infinity Stones from everybody else. So basically, on his own home world, he took on basically the remaining members of the Guardians of the Galaxy who were missing that one chick. They took on her sister, though. Who else? Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Iron Man. And then, like, the rest of his lieutenants and all their minions, they were at Wakanda trying to get the last Infinity Gauntlet, which was stuck in Vision's head. So there you go with that. So there was a war in Wakanda, and everybody else was, like as I mentioned, was battling Thanos, trying to get the gauntlet off his hands, and they failed. And he got the Infinity Gauntlet from Doctor Strange, and then he teleported to Earth, to Wakanda, and got the one from Vision. How he got it from Vision was crazy, because the deal was this: in order to prevent Thanos from getting all the Infinity Gauntlets, the Infinity Stone printed in Vision's head had to be destroyed. But in the process of doing that, you'll be destroying Vision himself. So his girlfriend had to destroy Vision before Thanos could get to him, which she did. But the problem was Thanos had one of the Infinity Stones, which controls time. So he rewinded time back for like, I think, 40 seconds, and got Vision's Infinity Stone. And he collected all 6 of them. However, though, at this point, Thor got his thunder powers back. And remember, he lost his thunder powers, but he got them back. And he came this close from killing Thanos. But Thanos just snapped his fingers, and half of the civilizations throughout the universe just disappeared. So obviously, we got the infamous "I don't feel so good" part. So yeah, so apparently Thanos won. That's how the movie ended. And obviously, there's going to be a part 2 that's coming out next year. And we'll talk about that in like, 2 or 3 weeks. So there you go with that. This movie was great, without question. It was everything as everybody thought that it would be. A lot of people thought that somebody, obviously, again, a number of people died in this one. So like I said, everybody from Thor's homeworld died. Loki died. The green chick from Guardians of the Galaxy died. And then everybody, most of the heroes were erased. I guess you could say they died too. And it looked like Iron Man was going to die because he got stabbed by Thanos. But he was actually, he somehow lived through that. I actually thought he was going to die. But he lived through that. And I thought Captain America was going to die, because he had a one-on-one fight with Thanos as well, but he just got knocked out. So, and the only people who are left are the original Avengers. Like the OG's Avengers that started off, even though, what's his name? Hawkeye was not in this movie, but he will show up in the sequel, though. And here's a little bit of info. AntMan actually survived the whole snapping of the fingers thing, but everybody else of his family, so we talking The Rock, her and her parents, they all died from the snap of the fingers because Ant-Man was in another dimension. And he was trapped there. So there you go with that. But again, this movie was great, really phenomenal. But I felt like there was 2 movies that was better than this one. So let's get to them. Number 2, The Incredibles 2. How ironic. Number 2 is The Incredibles 2. So this joint came out June 15th of this year. And this is like, I've been waiting for the Avengers Infinity War for a long time, but I've been waiting on this for a longer period of time. I've been waiting for this one for a good minute. So here's the story with this one. So basically, this one is about the Mr. Incredible's wife. So basically, ever since the first movie, and you remember how the first movie ended when a Mole Man showed up. So they start off with that, but the problem was when they tried to battle Mole Man, they left such a mess throughout the city, and he got away. So the government came up with the superhero relocation program, basically saying, "Hey, yo, all the heroes, they can't come back and things of that nature, blah blah blah." So what happened was this one company who was a big fan of the superheroes, they reached out to the Incredibles family and wanted to paint them in a positive light rather. So therefore they went with what's her name? With the wife. Helen. I forgot what her superhero name was. Elastigirl. That's it. They went with Elastigirl. So they had her go out and save the day, things of that nature. But she was also investigating a major plot that was going on. And it turns out that the guy who was the CEO of the company that was trying to paint the heroes in a new light, I thought he was the main villain, but it actually was his sister. I kind of didn't see that coming. So basically, they had to go against, because she was also brainwashing heroes and brainwashing people to, do as she commanded and things of that nature. So, and of course, but at the end, they stopped her. Meanwhile, Mr. Incredible had to deal with being a father, like helping Jack Jack with his homework. I mean, not Jack Jack with homework, helping Jack Jack, period, because he had powers and, they would discover or whatever. He had to help his son Dash with his homework, and he had to help Violet because she was going through an issue with the guy that he likes. And that was a whole nother scenario right there. Because he actually discovered, oh snap, Violet was actually a superhero, but he got brainwashed at the request of Violet's father. And once he found out, she got pissed off at him. To the point where the guy that he liked did not remember him. Like, he was completely brainwashed completely. So it was crazy. But at the end, everything worked out, obviously. I don't think he was unbrainwashed, but I think he ended up falling in love with Violet again. I believe. Yeah, he did. And then something else happened. Where, oh man, another villain showed up, so they had to go and take care of that, which was pretty crazy. But yeah, that was the Avengers 2. The Avengers 2 was a great movie. Really, really like it. One of these days, I'm gonna get the Avengers and Avengers 2 movies on Blu-ray, in part of my collection. Same with the #1 movie of the year and Avengers Infinity War 2. But yeah, this was a great movie. I cannot find anything wrong with it. Really, really like it. Now, before I get on with my #1 movie of the year, let me give you guys my honorable mention. Night School. Night School was a fun movie, I mean, if you didn't see it, then don't worry about it, but I thought it was an okay movie. It wasn't bad. Solo, Star Wars story. That one was pretty good. Well, not pretty good, but that was good nevertheless. I felt like it was all over the place just a little bit, but it was good nevertheless. And then Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider, I thought was going to be higher on my list, but there were so many movies that was better. And this one was not as funny as the movies that I listed here. So, yeah, that's why it didn't make my top 10. Now, let's move on to #1. Ready Player One. How ironic. So, Incredibles 2 was #2, and Ready Player One is #1. So, this is, in my opinion, the #1 movie of the year. This joint came out March the 29th of this year. So, basically, here's what's going on. Everybody is basically, if you're not working, you're basically in virtual reality. So you can do whatever you want in this virtual reality world. And the main character here is Ray Routes. Basically, here's what's going on. The creator of this virtual world, by the name of James Holliday, he died. But he left 3 keys throughout this virtual world that he created. And if you collected all 3 of these keys and find the golden Easter egg, you will own this virtual world. So this major company try to find the 3 keys trying to find the golden egg, and because if they have that, then they will rule the world. And they kind of like jerks or whatever already. So Ray, and he had like a little crew, and this one chick, I forgot her name. Artemis, I think her name Artemis. Yeah, Artemis. They try to find the Easter egg, and basically had to go at it with this corporation to find the golden egg before they did. And this movie was spectacular. The graphics was amazing. The story was really, really good, and I really, really like it. And I find no faults with this movie. I will go on the record and say that Ready Player One is one of my all-time favorite movies. So amongst that list, we talking Scott Pilgrim versus the World. We talking The Lion King. I may even throw in Kick-Ass. I'm not sure about that one. Oh, and Strata Compton. That's definitely, yeah, that's my top 3. So, and not in any order. Lion King, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Strata Compton. Those are my top 3 best movies of all time. Ready Player One is right up there. It's in the midst. So there's not my top 4 right there. I really, really like this movie, so I will get this on Blu-ray at some point in time. And in my opinion, this is the best movie of the year. So this is a really long video right here. So that's how we doing it. We doing it big as I make my way back. So next week, I will give you guys my top video games of the year, hopefully. But yeah, with that said, y'all know who this is. This is your boy, the New Jay Gatsby, a.k.a. New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.